welcome to another episode of A Day in the Life of Me. Right now, I'm actually an hour and a half away from home. I drove up to my hometown after work because the same lady's been cutting my hair for the past 23 years. And on the way up here, I wasn't planning on recording, and basically, I'm in the first gen, obviously. The exhaust gasket right after the header has been slowly failing, and I didn't know why. Well, I knew the gasket was bad. That's normal, but I was basically leaving out of the city and made it probably like 10 minutes north of my house, and the car kept getting louder and louder and louder until it was like just unbearable. Like, I put headphones on. I borrowed headphones from my girlfriend because this thing doesn't have a stereo, so I asked her to bring me some while I'm at work before I leave up here because I didn't want to drive home. This is what she brings me. Yeah, so I'm driving through towns, got those bad boys on, jamming out, listening to some Time Suck by Dan Cummins, and yeah, and can hardly hear it because the car is so loud. So trying to like put through towns, being super quiet, and goodness, French fry. Yeah, put through towns, trying to be super quiet, not doing it successfully. Managed to get through without being caught, only because one town I went through, the cop already had someone pulled over, and he just like stared me down as I drove by, and I was like, nothing I can do, bud. So go get my haircut, drive to O'Reilly's, ask them if they got a gasket for the thing. They don't, because it's an 85 RX-7. No one has anything for it. And then go through, like, ask them for their boxes of just gaskets and just thumb through them all. Find one that's similar, get it on the car, buy bolts, everything, hardware, get it back on the car. Now it's basically an hour and a half after I was going to leave. I wasn't even going to eat here, and now I'm at the local McDonald's having McDonald's. So yay. I didn't ask for this. I need to go home and edit on top of this. Alright, that's the end of that segment. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye. I decided to come to the shop and kind of tinker with the car a little bit. I really couldn't sit still for some reason. I was just going to stay home and play video games today, but my other turbo showed up Friday, which is this right here. I'm excited. Hope for faster spoolie boy. The other turbo that I got from one of my friends, I don't know how close I am to this video, but you can kind of see it. We'll go to the other door. I locked that door because I didn't plan on opening it again. But, so this turbo is a T4. Cold side's a little bigger, hot side's a tiny bit bigger. I did have a tile wastegate flange on it, which was going to work out really good, but it turns out that the wastegate flange, with the angle it's at, literally points directly at the strut tower. So I wasn't going to run that just because of that. So I'm probably going to trade it. But yeah, with the angle that this sits at, it was literally pointing like right over here. Yeah, I'm really bad at the camera right now. I'm used to having the GoPro. I can like point it anywhere and it captures it. But so I did a little compression thing on it. Basically just listened to it. Everything sounds fine. But alright, I'll show you what's going on with the turbo, and let's see if you catch it. So here's the hot side, and you can kind of see there's a little bit of oil, like right in here. Maybe you can see a little better now. So there's oil there. There's a little bit of oil on the center housing. Lighting's terrible. But when we get over to the cold side, ugh. So it got pretty tore up. So I was like, well, the filter is still intact. Nothing was going on there. But the one thing that did happen was right before it started smoking really bad and causing a bunch of issues, was when that small fire happened. And there's two things that could probably play into what actually happened. And that is, A, the car being shut off immediately after a run, which is a no-go with the turbo. B, is it also was sprayed with some fire extinguisher, which would drastically change the temperature and cause some things to happen. So if you look at this, we'll take the turbo, and you know, it doesn't, no issues, right? So we'll go ahead and flip her over, and you don't see anything weird, right? It's pretty normal. Everything looks fine. That still spins. But why does it do that? So, in conclusion, the cold side is completely warped from the, make sure I'm not upside down. The cold side is not supposed to do that at all. So it should be completely flat, you know, kind of like how when you put the hot side on the ground, well, yeah. So the whole thing is warped. So not even just the cold side, but even the hot side is completely warped, which is pretty ridiculous. And it had to do with the massive temperature change whenever we sprayed it with the exhaust or the fire extinguisher. So yeah, there was the major conclusion to its failure, which makes a lot of sense for all the blades to be damaged, is if it was spinning and then I went to you know, cool it down and then start it back up, make sure everything's working properly, of course it's gonna do that. Of course it's gonna warp. So, and warping will cause the, if it ovaled it like it seems to have done with it being able to move like so, that would shrink part of it, elongate the other side of it, and then cause it to actually bite into the blades, causing the damage. So yeah, I'm kind of excited that I found out what it was. I'm glad that I was correct and I knew it was the turbo. I kind of had my suspicions with, obviously with it smoking a crap ton of oil, not just from the engine bay, but I went out and did a couple laps after the everything that went down Saturday. I didn't get any footage of that because we really just did a pace lap just to kind of see, and got into boost and see if everything was working normally, and clearly it wasn't. So basically what my plan is going to be, if we're at an event, basically do not shut the car off. Usually that's what I do anyways, so it's not a huge deal. I was off track more than normal at this event. Normally I'm on track quite a bit, so that would kind of contribute to the car having these drastic temperature changes and making something like that happen. So the other turbo is right over here, and it's just a CX Racing cheapo depot boy. So it's essentially the same size as what I got already, so we're not really losing anything other than it's CX Racing. It's not really a name brand, but it should be fairly similar in pretty much everything. So as you can see, it's not very different. It looks to be a tiny bit bigger, but this one, I did get the dual ball bearing one, so we'll see how that looks, or not looks, but let me just put my hand in the way. we'll see how that acts in the car. And I don't have anything to hold the camera. This is really just spur of the moment, but I figure I'd go ahead and get some video anyways. So we're gonna get the dual ball bearing CX Racing on the car. Hopefully this week. I'm waiting on some gaskets. I'm running the Rimflex gaskets. That's REMFLEX. They're a old school like exhaust gasket company, and this isn't an ad. I just really like their product. But they make it out of graphite, and it's very thick. I mean, it's like that thick, maybe like almost 1/4 of an inch. It's extremely thick. But I like running it because it basically conforms to anything. So any warpage in like a manifold or a turbo flange or something like that, it just takes it up, and then you really don't have to worry about having a perfect, like it's, of course it's going to be better to have a perfect machine flange, but that's not always going to happen. So go check them out. They're not super cheap gaskets, but they definitely do what they're supposed to do. And I also got a V-band gasket to finally put on that bad boy, and hopefully that stops that from leaking there. And then we're waiting for the turbo, the T4 flange gasket to come in, hopefully early this week, as I need to get some tuning done and make it up to my buddy Jeff's so we can get some bash bars made, because I'm going to need those for Drift Week, as well as the hitch that's going to go in there, so that way I can tow a trailer, because there's not really, I think he's got a wedding the next week after that, or the next week after that, I also have a party thing to go to, so that doesn't work out for either of us. I don't think we have a free weekend together except for this coming one, so I have to rush and get this done. Okay. Alright, I think I'm done talking. I don't think there's much more else to do other than get the car, switch back over to gas, get that turbo on it, and then I'm going to order a fan to go on the intercooler, and I ordered a thermostat, oil thermostat, because I've got 2 of these, and I'm thinking about running those in the 2 wells there and over there, so hopefully the oil temps will be a little lower, and especially with trying to beat on the car more often, or not more often, more back to back, I guess. And since it's going to be on the road quite a bit, if we can get all those temps down, that'll just make everything last that much longer. And of course, intake temps going down, I have to worry less about detonation. Yeah. All right, so I think that's it. It was more of a kind of a ramble episode, but it should be fairly quick. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Go check out Rimflex, like I said, of course, all my sponsors, Carbyne Design, Wheels, Deatschwerks, Atkins Rotary, and Central Speed Supply. All those people are helping me out. They're great. I'm friends with pretty much all of them, so yeah, I will catch you guys next time.